Welcome to Mr. M's World History. Since the beginning of human history, people have been trying to find explanations to that which they don't understand. Often, this relates to not only the life on Earth, but what happens after we die. How is the universe created? Since the early civilization's beliefs were spread amongst different tribes and cultures through the sharing of views and answers to that, which we really don't understand, there have been hundreds of belief systems throughout time. Ultimately, there are 5 major faiths which are not only still in existence, but are followed by the greatest majority of humans around the globe. Also having some of the most historical significance. The spread of these worldviews from east to west will have major impacts on civilization even to this day. These have served both as uniting force of traditions and as a source of division and even tension. The study of deities or supreme being and even the supernatural is often referred to as theology. That's right, we're talking about God with a big G. I know, you're asking why? This is school. Why are we learning about God? Well, in order to understand humanity, and more specifically world history and geography, we really have to at least attempt to understand the source and foundations of these systems. Keep in mind, this is merely a historical overview and a general guide to understanding and not all-encompassing, nor doctrinal in nature. It's just an introduction and a foundation that will help guide you through the rest of this semester. So let's dive further into understanding the 5 major beliefs of Hinduism, Buddhism, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, aka the major world religions of the modern world. Namaste. Let's talk about Hinduism. Now, the longest continuous religious belief is called Hinduism, originating over 4,000 years ago in the western portion of the subcontinent of India. Hinduism is polytheistic. Poly meaning multiple. Theistic meaning the belief in God or creator, the universe, and guiding force. Polytheistic. The concept of God in Hinduism is somewhat complex. Brahma is the primary deity. However, various other forms which are also followed, such as Shiva, Durga, and Vishnu. Hindus believe in multiple forms of the same God. One of the major tenets of Hinduism is the belief in reincarnation, or samsara. This is essentially the idea that after one dies, they come back as a different form in the next life, based on the acts in the first life. We call that karma. The ultimate goal, however, is the absolution of the soul. Ultimately, by living a life full of high morals and good living, they can achieve Dharma. Depending on the individual collection of either positive or negative karma, the next life could be as a higher or lower form. As such, there's a strong caste system in place. A caste system is a type of social hierarchy which creates inequities in both rights and economic success. Ultimately, through acts and divine living in life, the believer may achieve nirvana. or perfectionism. Hinduism still remains the third largest and fastest growing religion in the world. However, 95% of Hindu followers still live in India. Next up, we have Buddhism. Soon after the birth of Hinduism, moving to the eastern portion of the Indian subcontinent, a man by the name of Siddhartha Gautama, or Buddha, rejected the caste system created by Hinduism, developed his own teachings. Now, Siddhartha, a Hindu himself, preached the idea of the Four Noble Truths. Essentially, everything in life is suffering. As such, for one to achieve nirvana, they must follow the eightfold path of enlightenment. Buddha, also known as the Enlightened One. The majority of Buddhists are primarily located in Southeast Asia in places like Tibet, Nepal, Thailand, Cambodia, and Laos. However, forms of Buddhism spread as far east as China, Korea, and Japan. Religions like Confucianism and Taoism originated from Buddhist teachings, but should not be confused with the original belief. Like Hinduism, reincarnation and karma are central themes with the ultimate goal of achieving true enlightenment. The growth of Buddhism is waning somewhat, but in recent years, it has grown quite popular amongst a small section of white Americans who rejected Western philosophy. Buddhism. Judaism. Considered to be the first monotheistic, one-God religion, often referred to as the Jewish faith. This religion dates back to the time of Abraham, 3,800 years ago, who, as the legend states, was challenged by God to sacrifice his son Isaac on a rock on a hilltop in the land of Canaan, modern-day Jerusalem. According to the book of Genesis, God spared Isaac in a test of Abraham's faith in the one and only true God according to the Torah. Now, the Torah is also known generally as the Old Testament of the modern Bible. Jews are often considered an ethnic group as well as a religion, with roughly 14.5 million Jews worldwide, although still the smallest of the 5 major religions. About 43% of Jews live in the United States, another 43% in the nation-state of Israel, and the remaining primarily in Europe, the few scattered around the other continents. Through normal migration, the Jewish people have been persecuted over the centuries from the Greeks, Egyptians, Romans, even the Nazis and Russians in modern times. The Jewish people established what are considered to be the laws of God delivered by Moses on the mountain. After fleeing Egypt and eventually settling in the land of Judea, as also known as the modern-day Israel, those commandments define a general sense of right and wrong in the Western world. But they're centered around the idea that there is only one God, that family comes first, respecting your parents and neighbors, and abiding by a sense of morality. Here's a big one. Christianity. For centuries, the Jewish people toiled in arduous conditions under their own kings and eventually under Roman control. The Jewish Torah, or the books of the Old Testament, predicted that God would eventually walk the earth and save them from oppression. The New Testament of the modern Bible was written in the 1st century of the Common Era by the followers of a man named Jesus. In this belief system, Jesus Christ is believed to have been born to a 15-year-old virgin Jewish girl named Mary, who was chosen by God to deliver the Son of God. The Gospels of the Apostles claim that Jesus was executed by crucifixion and reappeared 3 days after his death to his followers. Known for a series of miracles, the followers of Jesus formed the Christian church and spread the message of love for one's neighbor and forgiveness all across the Near East and into Europe. Now, one fundamental tenet is that believers must live a moral life following the laws of the Old Testament and ask for forgiveness for their transgressions in order to enter what is called the kingdom of God in the afterlife. Christians attempt to follow the path of the teaching of Jesus that was documented in the New Testament. Although Christianity was forbidden in the Roman Empire for the first 200 years, it would eventually become the official religion of Emperor Constantine in the 4th century of the Common Era, and has influenced all of Western civilization and is currently the largest religion in the world with over 2 billion followers. Billion with a B. This belief system is the foundation of European culture and history and is a central theme in understanding the history and geography and advancement of Europe and the Western world, and especially the New World or Western Hemisphere. The last or most recent of the 5 major religions is Islam. Now, the religion of Islam and its followers are known as Muslims. According to the Quran, or Muslim holy book, the Prophet Muhammad in the 7th century was greatly influenced by Christian and Jewish traders in the region of modern-day Saudi Arabia. According to the Quran, Muhammad was visited by the angel Gabriel, who declared Muhammad to be the final prophet of the God Allah. Similar to the 10 Commandments in the Judeo-Christian beliefs, Muslims are expected to follow what are called the 5 pillars. One of the 5 pillars is that Muslims are to pray 5 times a day facing Mecca, a city on the western coast of the Arabian Peninsula. Although the youngest of the Abrahamic religions, Islam spread rapidly across the Near East as well as Northern Africa, and to this day is the 2nd largest belief system with 1 billion believers. Reportedly, one cause of the initial spread was related to a caliphate in which warriors traveled from village to village converting inhabitants, sometimes by the threat of death or failure to not acknowledge Allah. For centuries, Islam and Christianity would compete with one another for control of lands throughout Asia Minor and Europe. Many Muslim countries to this day follow strict adherence to the 5 pillars and a code of laws dating back nearly 1,400 years. Now, ultimately, it is important not to conflate religious beliefs with political ideology. However, understanding the history of the influence of these religions and the culture of the geographic regions of the earth that are closely associated with their development, migration, and even way societies at large evolve as hierarchical systems. Regardless of theological beliefs, our modern globe has been shaped by these differing global views, and they are central to understanding the history of the modern world from the 10th century to present.